Hello, or I should say, oh hi. Gotta have like a little bit of a lean over from the little from the stuffs. That is Ursiax, the gaming channel. That is also me on other Chase channels. Oh hi, Crescent. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're Rootin, Computin, we're doing all things here. We're trying ourselves a HackMe. Oh god, I'm never gonna say that again. Yes, I am. All right. Well, we'll just let this play until it stops, and then the background music will go bye-bye. Just making sure everything looks the way I'd like it to look here. AI, oh, my microphone tilted. That's rude. AI says it shows me looking into a camera. I'm talking into a microphone, which is completely what I needed to do. That's perfect. It's fine. I don't need to change it at all. All right, now it's getting a little bit samey. Goodbye, music. Hi, hello, everyone. We're doing the TryHackMe again today. It's been a minute since we did. We've been sort of going back and forth with Burp Suite, and then we did the Elementary OS review, and then we did the notebook stuff. I wanted to go back to our roots. So today we're doing TryHackMe. Next week we're looking at Hack the Box Academy, and I'm going to make a lot of noise in their Hack the Box server on Discord before that happens, so we might get some people in there from there. The YouTube has gotten a bit of an upgrade as well. We have a banner image now. Very cool. We have some of the videos have thumbnails now. There's one person in my YouTube comments that likes to go. He sort of engaged with me. This person is a self-proclaimed thumbnail designer, and just went into the comment section of one of my videos and essentially said, video good, thumbnail design not good, which that video didn't have a thumbnail, so that makes sense. And I basically told him, yeah, that's going to happen if you're, you know, a blind streamer. And if you had actually watched the video, you probably would have known that. And yeah, thumbnails are being made. And edited as we go. It's being worked on. But as of now, I don't think it should be all that strange that thumbnail designs are not my top priority, as it were. It's not really why I do this. So yeah, I pretty much hid and removed that user from my comment section. I don't think we need that kind of stuff. There's also a person that said something really nice in a interesting release thing. Yeah, I know I don't have stream captioner working. I don't think it's working in a private window. And I can't actually log into two Twitch things at once, so I'd have to actually use a different browser to log into Twitch and do that. I could try. I should try again. But yeah, not my primary. Let me put Chrome on the screen here so we have something to look at while I set up. Let's see here. But yeah, that was really the person's gonna said something about religious and disability, and it apparently inspired them. That's good, I guess. Not really my cup of tea, but I appreciate that comment nonetheless. Like, if that's how you express yourself, fantastic. I'm looking for my browser capture window. Where is it? There it is. It's currently called Chrome, and that's a very apt description because it's going to be reflecting Chrome, so that's good. Let's stick the data in there. Last thing it looks like we covered on the Chrome thing was Desmos, which was part of last week's stream when we did the VS Code notebooks thing. If you want to go see that, that's on YouTube. There's Chrome. We have Chrome. May blacken while I'm messing around in Firefox for a second here because I'm going to log into Twitch and see if I can get closed captioner working. Worst case, we tried, but let's try it regardless. If not, well, too bad. I tried. I need to find a better like non-browser dependent way of doing that. Unfortunately, apparently the non-browser dependent things are pretty like they're a little bit not so good in the sense that sometimes they will literally just not do what you want them to do, which is send captions, which obviously you can't want a captioner to actually send captions to the Twitch thing. Sometimes apparently that goes wrong and that makes the whole thing moot, so it's a little flaky. I used to have a plugin for this, but apparently there was issues with it, so that's really unfortunate. I'll see if I can set it up here in Firefox real quick so we have at least something. Yeah, so today we want to do some web hacking things. We're still on the path there. We'll do the SQL injection one, and I think there's a couple more that we didn't do yet. And then, okay, I got the code. And then we'll also see if it's required. If we get to the Burp Suite things, I think I will actually not use Burp Suite this time. We've covered Burp Suite. So I'm going to cover the proxy instead when that comes up. We'll have to see how far we get and how fast we move, but we'll see. So in the meantime, I'm really quickly setting up this captioner, see if it works in Firefox. If it does work in Firefox, fantastic. If it does not work in Firefox, then, well, too bad. We tried. Let's have a look here. Let's just log into Twitch. And then log into this other thing, continue with Twitch. There we go. And then once that's done, I can just press the button and then give it permission, and then hopefully well, this doesn't. Okay, well, it looks like this may not work in Firefox. Yeah, I know. Like, I pressed the button to turn it on, and it just isn't doing it. I'll refresh the page, try again, but I think this is a dud. Yeah, no, it's not letting me. Okay, I'm really sorry. I'll need to figure out a better way to do that. Maybe I can have like Whisper running in the background and do it in a little bit of a delay. But yeah, something captions. It's in my notes. I need to make that better. Until then, sorry for the inconvenience. YouTube will auto caption, I'm pretty sure. Twitch will not, but that's on Twitch. We'll see what we can do here. For the meantime, let's just go to the next. What
is that, video game?
Okay,
No,
follow. That's
hacked.
quick. We just started. Hack Shop Goblin. Love the name. Fantastic. Welcome in. Thank you so much for joining up. If you're new, I'm a blind streamer hacker. I don't use a screen. The screen's not even connected to my computer. It's literally just a blank wall I'm staring at, and I'm doing all this with a screen reader. Oh, Hacks Hobgoblin. Okay, sorry about that. Hacks Hobgoblin, not the Hack Shop Goblin. That would be fun. Okay, Hacks Hobgoblin. I need to learn how to read. Sorry, but yeah, that's what we're doing. We're doing some TryHackMe today. It's very simple stuff. Probably some cross-site scripting detection, some SQL injections, very similar stuffs. Doing good, doing good. How are you? Who are you and how are you? Tell me more about yourself if you feel comfortable. If not, don't. It's completely cool. Alright, so this says that on my path, the next thing I need to go do is intro to cross-site scripting, which I thought I did already, but, okay. Oh, okay, no, it's just showing me various things in this path, and there's a resume thing. Right there. Alright, perfect. Resume learning. We are in command injection. Beautiful. So command injection, there's only one thing I didn't do on stream, one room, and that was the file inclusion room, and I didn't do that room on stream because it's terrible, honestly. It uses techniques that are used in PHP 5.3. Sorry, but even really out-of-date systems, I think you'd be hard pressed to find that old of a PHP version these days. And if you do, I'd honestly worry to like even test it, because I'd be pretty sure that someone else got there before you and put some really nasty malware in there. So very cool. Have not heard of home lab hacking before. Like Hex Hoblin says that they are also a streamer. They do TryHackMe, Hack the Box, and home lab hacking. I do mostly the accessibility of these platforms, so I'm fully blind, like I said, so I need to use a screen reader, and the hacking game is obviously a little bit different if you can't see the screen. So what I want to do here is twofold. I essentially want to show that it's possible, but I also want to like show how to get around the accessibility issues that are inherent in these platforms. TryHackMe, unfortunately, isn't great in some respects. Like, they have some really awkward defaults for their VMs. Something with audio not working and various other things that really would not detract from the hacking challenge if they were to fix them. They just don't for some reason. I guess they don't think it's a priority. I've told them several times what and how to do it, but they've just not done it yet. So until then, I'm sort of going to have to be the bully and essentially tell them that they're doing it wrong. And I need to help my fellow people who want to try to do this with the screen reader how to do it, because nobody else is. So yeah, that's me. Hack the Box Academy is actually next. I'm going to cover that next week, so that's going to be a really fun one as well. Again, haven't heard of home lab hacking, but we may have to check that one out too. Anyway, let me turn the lights on here. It's a little dark in this corner. Not a huge difference, but yeah. Learn about a vulnerability allowing you to execute commands through a vulnerable app and its remediation. Sounds good. This is an easy room. It says it's going to take 20 minutes to do. I can retract this microphone now because the captions aren't working anyway. There we go. It's a quick room, 20 minutes. That's good. Yeah, let's continue. Start a tech box. I don't think we'll be needing it much this time, but maybe we will. We'll have to see what this task says. And I'll be commenting. I'll be reading the task for people who can't read the screen. And I will be going over the answers for people who can't or won't deal with TryHackMe stuff. In this room, we're going to be covering the web vulnerability that is command injection. Once we understand what this vulnerability is, we will then showcase its impact and the risk it imposes on an application. Then you're going to be able to put this knowledge into practice, namely how to discover the command injection vulnerability, how to test and exploit this vulnerability using payloads designed for different operating systems, how to prevent this vulnerability in an application. Lastly, you'll get to apply theory into practice, learning in a practical at the end of the room. To begin with, let's first understand what command injection is. Command injection is the abuse of an application's behavior to execute commands on the operating system, using the same privileges that the application on a device is running with. So this is one reason why you don't want to run a web server as root. If someone does get like some kind of remote command injection or remote command execution, or like something like this, a command injection, they can be root. They can literally do anything you could as an admin on your system. Generally not something you want. It is less like of a problem these days because things are generally like managed by, say, Cloudflare, or there's like different servers that do different things. Like the database may be on a completely different system than the web server is. Still, though, you don't really want to mess with that, because you can easily, if you're lucky, you can get like the login credentials for the database right from the source code of what you're looking at or some other thing, and then you're pretty much. So yeah, you don't want to do that too often. For example, achieving command injection on a web server running as a user named Joe will execute commands under this Joe user, and therefore obtain any permissions that Joe has. Command injection is also often known as remote code execution, RCE, because of the ability to remotely execute code within an application. These vulnerabilities are often the most lucrative to an attacker, because it means that the attacker can directly interact with the vulnerability system. So yeah, if you find these on a bug hunt, like a bug bounty, you're gonna get a pretty nice payoff. For example, an attacker may read system or user files, data, and things of that nature. For example, being able to abuse an application to perform the command "who am I" to list what user account the application is running will be an example of command injection. Command injection was one of the top 10 vulnerabilities reported by Contrast Security's AppSec Intelligence Report for 2019. Contrast Security, like AppSec 2019, is a source. You can click over to it, like a link here in brackets. Moreover, the OWASP or OWASP framework constantly proposes vulnerabilities of this nature as one of the top 10 vulnerabilities of a web application. And here's a review of that. So OWASP, the OWASP top 10 is like 10 web vulnerabilities you'll see all over the place, like a lot in the wild. And while TryHackMe does cover them, I honestly recommend going to see Portswigger Academy for these, because they are like, that's like their main gig, like the whole web hacking thing. Answer the following questions. Read me. We did it. Right, so the screen reader is not currently echoing to the stream. I can hear it, but you guys don't need to, because there's really not much happening that I'm not reading out loud myself. Once that changes, obviously I'll change it. This vulnerability exists because applications often use functions in programming languages such as PHP, Python, and Node.js to pass data and to make system calls on the machine's operating system. I kind of love that they put Node.js in here. It would have been PHP, Python, and probably Ruby on Rails before. I still really like Ruby on Rails, sue me, but I really do. Oh, I forgot to put my link in the little, I'm in a server for Discord with some folks that actually might like this. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the follow. It's definitely appreciated. Like, I'm definitely not doing this for the money. It's just not. I mean, I make money as a day job, and I don't want to, make poor people even poorer if that's what's happening. I just like reaching a bigger audience. So yeah, definitely, if you think you have friends that like this, that might be helped by this, or that just want to be educated, like, send them my way. It's completely appreciated. Talking is difficult today, even if I'm not reading things out loud. Let me quickly dump a link in this Discord server here. Sometimes I think I have ADHD. I would not be surprised. I have never myself tested, but sometimes seriously, it's bad. Just do things when they happen. Really impulsive person. Where'd the thing go?
What is that, video game?
No,
Oh, look at that, another follower. Thank you so much. Gonna have to go look at what that name is, like. Thank you so much for the follow, GoPro Slowyo. Appreciate that. Super cool. Okay. No, that's not it. There it is. Okay, fantastic. Let me put my link in here real quick. We're tackling some more TryHackMe. Hey, Dante, welcome in, welcome in. We're tackling some more TryHackMe rooms. Completely blind. As in no vision. Lol. Come see. I sure won't. :P. https://twitch.tv/ICnull. I am so fucking funny. There you go. No, whatever. It's kind of funny because, I mean, I and you guys know that I am blind, and a lot of people who will look at these channels will think I'm punning. Like, when I say blind, they'll think I'm blind playthrough, or like I haven't looked at this before, it's a black box hack. No, I'm literally just not seeing anything. It's so much amusing. So yeah, appreciate you coming in, GoPro Slowyo. Welcome in, Dante. Hope you're having a good day. Yeah, thanks for the happy hacking. We're doing some more web stuff, hoping to maybe get Zap in action today. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how we do. Also, appreciate that you call me null. I find this funny. Anyway, let's go. For example, taking input from a field and searching for an entry into a file. Take this code snippet below as an example. Do people still do that? Like, you type something in a web form and it actually does like a find behind the scenes. Like, I know to do like SQL searches with this. Feels a little antiquated. Well, let's see. Oh, cute. So this is... I literally don't see this code snippet. Is it? Hang on. Is this a... Ha! Okay, so it's a screenshot of code. They completely couldn't be to put actual code in here. They just screenshotted a bunch of code and I can't see it. I couldn't get it. I just don't care enough, honestly. Like, there is a PHP script here, a little snippet that... supposedly, I guess it like does a thing where it takes input from the get array and then runs some kind of command with that input. I don't know which one, probably find or locate or grep maybe even. Can't see it because they made a screenshot of the code, and that's exactly the kind of bullshit that I'm expecting these days from these guys. To be entirely transparent, like a lot of these TryHackMe rooms are made by users, so I can't blame them too hard for this one. But also, you know, you put them on your site for 3 million plus people to see. Take responsibility. Anyway, in this code snippet, the application takes data that a user enters in the input field named $title to search a directory for a song title. Let's break this down into a few simple steps. 1. The application stores MP3 files in a directory contained on the operating system. 2. The user inputs the song title they wish to search for. The application stores this input into the title variable. The data within this title variable is passed to the command grep to search a text file named songtitles.txt for the entry of whatever the user wishes to search for. This is the most convoluted way I've seen to do this before. Anyway, the output of this search, songtitle.txt, will determine whether the application informs the user that the song exists or not. Now, this sort of information would typically be stored in a database. However, this is just an example of where an application takes input from a user to interact with the application's operating system. Yes, but could you not have found a less really ancient and antiquated looking example? Anyway, an attacker could abuse this application by injecting their own commands from the application to the execute. Rather than using grep to search for an entry in the song file list, they could ask the application to read data from a more sensitive file, provided you have permission to see it, yeah. Abusing applications in this way can be possible no matter the programming language the application uses. As long as the application processes and executes it, it can result in a command injection. For example, this code snippet below is an application written in Python. Can we see that one? Nope. No, you're not expected to understand the syntax behind these applications. However, for the sake of reason, I have outlined the steps of how this Python application works as well. So you outlined the entire steps for the code, but you didn't actually like take 5 seconds to copy paste your code. Impressive. That's good. I like that. 1. The Flask package is used to set up a web server. 2. A function that uses the subprocess package to execute a command on the device. 3. We use a route in the web server that will execute whatever is provided. For example, to execute whoami, we need to visit flaskapp.thm/whoami. That is the most insecure shit I've ever seen. Anyway, what variable stores the user's input in the PHP code snippet in this task? I'm glad you mentioned it because I can't read that code, but that happens to be $title. Whoop, your answer is correct. Oh yeah. What HTTP method is used to retrieve data submitted by user in the PHP code snippet? Oh, I haven't seen that, but that really can only be get, so get it is. Whoop, your answer is correct. Woo. If I wanted to accept the ID command in the Python command, what route would I need to visit? /ID. I don't even have to really think about it. I can look at its asterisks and see it. There we go. Task 3, exploiting command injection. You can often determine whether or not command injection may occur by the behaviors of an application, as you will come to see in the practical session off this room. Applications that use user input to populate system commands with data can often be combined in unintended behavior. For example, the shell operators semicolon, ampersand, and ampersand will combine two or more system commands and execute them both. If you're unfamiliar with this concept, it is worth checking out the Linux Fundamentals module to learn more about this. It's kind of interesting that we didn't cover those, actually. Did we? I do not recall if that was part of this path. I don't think it was. I think I would have had to do like the I think now semi-retired complete beginner path or the pre-security path, which is not accessible, so we can't do that one. I may honestly do like a stream where we do pre-security just to see how quickly we run into complete blockers. No, I don't think I did either. Crescent says that I'm pretty sure that they're pretty sure I didn't do them, which I'm pretty sure you're right. I can do like a bandit stream at some point, like the over the wire rooms. They get pretty challenging up to a certain point. They start out really stupid, but then they get better as you go up the levels. I think there's like 20 or 30 levels. But I remember that one of those has you like shrink the terminal window to make a certain thing happen. Spoiler if you didn't know that. And I don't think that's accessibly doable. It's so stupid. Like one of those silly things that you'd have to like figure out some kind of fancy terminal commands to figure out how to shrink your terminal so it does a weird thing with the pager command. It's doable. I just didn't know when I did this in 2021. I didn't know the commands to do it with, and I couldn't really be bothered to look them up. But yeah, that's one thing in Bandit. It's not even an accessibility thing. It's one of those, you're never actually going to do this in real life, but because this example requires you to do it, it's kind of like interesting. 34? Holy shit. I thought there was only 20 or 30 at the most. Like 34. Okay, that might actually be worth doing at some point. Just do the entire Bandit thing. Appreciate that. What do I call you? Hobgoblin? I'll just call you Hacks Hobgoblin. It's fine. It's not that long. Anyway, command injection can be detected in mostly one of two ways. 1. Blind command injection. Hey, we're good at that. 2. Verbose command injection. I have defined these two methods in the table below, where the two sections underneath will explain these in greater detail. All right, is this an actual? It's an actual. All right. So this is a good table. I'm looking. Okay, my web accessibility hat comes on here for a second. It's a good table. Just looks like they didn't actually add table headers to this table, which means that headers in a table are not announced when you change the columns below with a screen reader. Again, one of those really small fixes that if you know about them can take like 10 seconds to do. But if you don't know to do them, it's easy to miss. It's really easy to miss. Emojis are fine. Emotes from like streamers are a bit trickier, as I really only see the name of them. So if like you have a Hacks Hobgoblin laugh, I'll get like Hacks Hobgoblin laugh. That would be like the first 5. So Hacks laugh, Hacks laugh, Hacks laugh. You put them like in a row. So that's a little meh. But if you stick them in a chat, I can usually read them. So that's fine. Like the emoji, regular like emoji, those I can read, no problem. So you can put those in if you want. Okay, blind. This type of injection is where there is no direct output from the application when testing payloads. You will have to investigate the behaviors of the web application to determine whether or not your payload was successful. It's kind of interesting that they write with British English. There's a behavior with a U. Very cool. All right, what else? Verbose. This type of injection is where there is a direct feedback from the application once you have tested a payload. For example, running the whoami command, see what user the application is running under. The web application will output the username on the page directly. Okay, so yeah, it's a white box It's a white box versus a black box kind of approach. Like either you can see what's happening behind the curtain or you can't. Detecting blind injections. Blind command injection is when a command injection occurs. However, there is no output visible. Not immediately noticeable. Yeah, you set that in the table. For example, a command is executed, but the web application outputs no message. For this type of command injection, we will need to use payloads. That will cause some time delay. For example, the ping and sleep commands are significant payloads to test with. I mean, ping I wouldn't recommend because that keeps going until you kill it. So if you do ping and you don't give it like a -C, it's just gonna sit there and crash. Sleep you could do with like an X amount of numbers though. I'm assuming when they use ping, they will also tell you not to. Using ping as an example, the application will hang for X seconds in relation to how many pings you have specified. Yes, but if you don't specify ping, it's just gonna keep going and you'll crash the entire system. Which, if that's what you want to do, that's a great way to do it. But another method of detecting blind command injection is by forcing some output. This can be done by using redirection operators such as the greater sign. If you're unfamiliar with this, I recommend checking out the Linux Fundamentals module. I'm not going to check out the Linux Fundamentals module. Okay, I know how this works. Anyway, for example, we can tell the web application to execute commands such as who am I and then redirect that to a file. We can then use a command such as cat to read this newly created file's contents. Okay, but why would that work? If you literally have a command that outputs stuff and it's not outputting it to the web server, like you could also just do who am I at that point. Like it would show stuff as well. If you're just going to cat files, you'd still not see anything. That's a terrible example. I'm sorry, that would never work because if you could just cat a file to begin with, why don't you just do that without like doing the who am I first? Like this, no, this does not compute. We're not rooting Computin at this point. This is bad. Anyway, next thing. Testing command injection this way is often complicated and requires quite a bit of experimentation, significantly as the syntax for command varies between Linux and Windows. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you can... That doesn't work. I still don't understand. Why is this in here? Who wrote this? Anyway, the curl command is a great way to test for command injection. This is because you are able to use curl to deliver data to and from an application in your payload. Take this code snippet below as an example. A simple curl payload to an application is possible for command injection. Hey, this one I can actually read. So it says curl vulnerable.app /process.php encoded /character search the Beatles, and then what is that, a semicolon? Yeah, I'm assuming it's some kind of, I don't know. I don't speak HTML entities, but yeah, there's a couple characters like an encoded semi and I think a space character, and then who am I? Yeah. Detecting verbose command injection. Detecting command verbose injection is arguably the easiest method of, yeah, because you know what verbose command injection does? It's verbose about the command injection. It'll actually output something. I don't think we need to, this is not rocket science, guys. Is when the application gives you feedback or output. I'm just going to skim through this real quick. For example, the output of commands such as ping or who am I is directly displayed on the web application, blah, 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 blah. Useful payloads. I have compiled some valuable payloads for both Linux and Windows into the table below. Okay. So what you got? Who am I? That's not a pay. Okay, I guess who am I? ls for a directory list. You got ping. We got sleep. We got nc for netcat. We got okay, and in Windows we got who am I? We got derf for this is like the ls equivalent. We got ping. They are not payloads, they're commands. I mean, I guess they're payloads in the sense that you're just shoving commands in there. I guess that's a payload. Timeout, it makes it sound way more like grand than it is. These are not payloads. I mean, I guess I could base 64 encode them and then, you know, make it all fancy like What payload would I use if I wanted to determine what user the application is running as? Oh, I don't know, maybe the who am I that you mentioned like 50 times at this point. Yep, I got it right. Hooray. What popular network tool would I use to test for blind injection on a English machine? Well, you got 4 characters you want, so it's probably ping. What payload would I use to test the Windows machine for blinded command invention? You have a timeout in there, that's probably what you want. Oh, typing is difficult. Timeout. Did it. Remediating command injection. I have an idea. Don't do that. Here we go. Command injection can be prevented in a variety of ways. Everything from minimal use of potentially dangerous functions or libraries in a programming language to filtering input without relying on a user's input. So, what do I want to say about that? It's absolutely true, particularly in the age of Node.js dependencies with 15 million packages in there, that it can be very difficult to know what your stuff is vulnerable to. Like, it's gotten so bad that npm, when you install Node packages, actually gives you a little bit of a hey, so we did an audit and like so and so many packages that you just yanked in are actually like vulnerable. You might want to fix that. And sometimes there's automated ways of doing it, sometimes there isn't. But yeah, there's definitely something to be said about knowing what dependencies you pull into your application. And this right here is why. Like if something that's user reachable, or at least user code reachable, can be made to do this, you're pretty fucked. Like you're not in a good place. So yeah, check your dependencies, friends. Anyway, I have detailed these a bit further below. Have you now? The examples below are of a PHP programming language. However, the same principles can be extended to many other languages. Okay. Vulnerable functions. In PHP, many functions interact with the operating system to execute commands via shell. These include exec, which is disabled on most PHP installs now. Pass through, I think that one may not be, but I'm not super sure. System. Who the hell would use system? Take the snippet below as an example. Here, the application will only accept and process numbers that are inputted into the form. Is inputted? Is that how you conjugate that verb? Anyway, this means that any commands such as who am I will not be processed. 1. The application will only accept a specific pattern of characters, the digits 0 through 9. The applications will then only proceed to execute this data, which is all numerical. All right. These functions take input such as a string or user data and will execute whatever is provided on the system. I think I missed the screenshot again. Any applications use these functions without proper checks will be vulnerable to command injection. Input sanitization with an S. I have not seen that with an S before. I'm marveling slightly here. Sanitizing any input from a user that an application uses is a great way to prevent command injection. That was more Australian. I'll stop now. This is a process of specifying the formats of types of data that a user can submit. For example, an input field only accepts numerical data or removes any special characters such as greater than, ampersand, and slash. Cheerio, mate. Snippet below, the filter input PHP function is used to check whether or not any data submitted by the input form is a number or not. If it is not a number, it must be invalid input. Yeah, that's thank you. I have a strange fascination with language. That's probably why. Like I speak a little bit of many and a lot of not so many. But yeah, there you go. Bypassing filters. Applications will employ numerous techniques in filtering and sanitizing data that's taken from a user's input. These filters will restrict you to specific payloads. However, we can abuse the logic behind an application to bypass these filters. For example, an application may strip out quotation marks. We can instead use the hexadecimal value of this to achieve the same result. Yeah, that's fair. So there's some encoding going on when you send something to a URL. And if you just pre-encode, then the encoding won't happen because you're not sending characters in there, but it'll still work because that's, yeah. That'll dodge around the quote thing. So you can do that and like be a little tricky devil and get that working properly. That is a payload. Yeah, that is how you would do it. When executed, although the data given will be in a different format than what is expected, it can still be interpreted and will have the same result. And that's because HTTP, for reasons that escape me, still does this encoding step like 25 years after it was invented, 35 years after it was invented. You'd think that HTTP servers can handle just regular old ASCII data now, but apparently no, not for everything. That's also why we still can't have case-sensitive URLs before the TLD, and I don't think you can have spaces in URLs either. They'll just get %20. Like, it's actually kind of cool. If you put a space behind the URL and then type a second one, you can actually like open a list of URLs all at once. If you ever like copy paste, but you go too far and you copy a couple of words along, you'll see that it like opens new tabs with those words as URLs in them. That's actually kind of cool. Like, it's not ever something you'd actually want to do. But if you want to open like 50 tabs, and you can just put all the URLs in a line with spaces in between, just open them all at once. Never something I've actually needed to use, except for I think when I like wanted to restore like a whole bunch of tabs all at once, and the only thing I had was a list of like, I think it was like new line delimited character, like delimited URLs, and I just wanted to open them all at once. And I think I just stuck them in the run. I just made the new lines into space characters and just stuck them in the run dialog, and it worked fine in Windows. It's kind of interesting. Anyway, answer the questions below. What is the term for the process of cleaning up user input that is provided to an application? Sanitization. Haha, it's wrong because I wrote it the American way. How do you fix it? Did that on purpose. Sanitization, old chap. There you go. Perfect. It's fine now. We're the heroes of the day. Right. I really think that more Australian than it needs to be. It's funny. Here we go. Task 5. Practical command injection deploy. Start machine. We'll press that first because that takes a minute. And while I read, this will get itself going. Deploy the machine attached to this task. It will be visible in the split screen view once it is ready. I didn't actually check, but is the zoom of Chrome in an okay state? Can I say that? Oh, okay, it was fine. Let me make it smaller again. It's at 150. That should be fine for most. If that needs to be like changed, if it's too small or too big, let me know. Literally, I can't tell. Same with if like things suddenly minimize on me. Like, I usually see it because that also collapses menus and makes them mobile looking, but it won't always tell me. So sometimes if something just disappear from under me, it's good to mention that, hey, whatever you're reading, we can't see it. Fix it, please. It's always okay to do. Anyway, test some payloads on the application hosted on the website visible in split screen view to test for command injection. Uh-oh, is this going to be a thing where I can't see the thing? Refer to this cheat sheet if you're stuck on with... Find the contents of the flag located in /home/tryhackme/flag.txt. You can use a variety of payloads to achieve this. I can recommend trying multiple. Oh, fuck. Okay, so here's a fun one. I think what you're meant to do here is actually use the browser on the machine to do it. Now, obviously, we cannot do that, so we're going to have to do some creative hacking here. Oh, no. Okay, so this is a problematic problem. And this is exactly why I am miffed with TryHackMe at the moment. I've told them that this is an issue and they haven't fixed it. So why is this a problem? Why am I annoyed about this? Basically, what happens with the screen reader is the screen reader reads, not really the screen, it reads the APIs of the operating system it's running on. So if this happens, like I have to work with a remote machine that's running in a canvas on a website, that input, like that output rather, gives nothing to a screen reader. I'm basically flying blind in all senses of the word at that point. And generally what you would do in that case, like obviously I need to fix my dad's printer or whatever sometimes. So what you'd need to do at that point is to make sure you get a screen reader running on a target machine. And when everything is neatly arranged in like real world scenarios and the audio is just where it needs to be, you'll get that audio through the RDP link or whatever you're using, and you can hear what you're doing. Now on TryHackMe, for a reason that completely escapes me, they have that disabled. Like there is a one-liner in the config that you can add to make that work, and they haven't done that. So when I have a thing like this where I need to actually interact with an application within a VM, I'm basically fucked unless I find a way around it. And I was kind of hoping this would happen at some point because I've not really had a chance to have to do that before. But I do now. This is essentially like the situation we're currently in. So what we're going to have to figure out is this web server actually exposed? Usually it isn't. If it is, we're lucky, but I don't think it will be. So let's have a look at the info here. What are we at? This is, I need the IP, 10.10.84.219. Okay. So first thing we'll do, open a new tab, go to that URL. We're lucky. Okay. So freak out for nothing. Basically, if this wouldn't have worked, what I would have to do is basically either find a way to enable SSH on this computer and then go into like the whatever, see where the web server is running and then see if I can access that. Or I would have to somehow OCR the screen repeatedly while fucking around in that browser to figure out where the input field is and then type, and it's going to be a ball ache from of epic proportions. I'm glad I didn't have to do that, but it would have been a fun video. Okay, so we're lucky. What I just did for the people who can't see my screen, I just opened a new tab and went to the IP that we have in the previous tab here after I pressed the reveal IP button, and that brought up a web page. So that tells me that that web server is actually exposed to us. We can see it if you're in a VPN, which means that we don't have to fuck around with it, honestly. So this is the ACKME IT Services Help Desk. We have not seen this thing before or anything. So let's see, Diagnose IT. We are at Diagnose IT currently. Use this handy web application to test the availability of a device by entering its IP address in the field below. For example, 127.0.0.1. 127.0.0.1 is also the label for this edit field. Web accessibility hat back on. That is bad because that doesn't tell me what I'm meant to be typing in here, just what it meant to look like. That's not a good label. Arrgh! I know it's an example, but this is not hard. It's like 5 extra seconds. Gosh. Anyway, so apparently this is taking some kind of input, and I'm guessing it's running ping. So let's just fuck around. Let's give it 127.0.0.1. Then give it a semicolon and run who am I. Well, that took a second. Let's see what it did. Here is your command, 127.0.0.1, who am I? Output. So we have the result of ping. And with a little bit of luck, I put a semicolon and then who am I, which means it should have run that after our command here. Doesn't look like there's any sanitation here. Oh. Interesting. So it shows us at the very end of this output www-data, which I'm assuming is our who am I output. So I'm going to try that. Yeah, I saw it. I was not immediately seeing it. I thought there'd be an extra prompt and there wasn't. That was throwing me off. But yeah, I see it. So the way that works, I have to sort of like the way another thing that screen readers do is they work sequentially. So there's 2 ways to offset that. One way is to read the speech really, really fast. Kind of sounds like this. And the other thing I do is to use Braille display to quickly scroll through stuff I don't need to hear, because you can't really fast forward with a screen reader very easily. So sometimes I just sort of need to look at the bottommost line and then see what's at the end of it in this particular case. But yeah, that was English, and I could understand every word of that if people are curious. All right, let's see. So the question: what user is this running as? Is running as www-data. What? The answer is correct. What are the contents of the flag located in /home/tryhackme/flag.txt? So I don't think we need to do all that many payloads to get this answer, to be very honest with you. Let's just go. 127.0.0.1. This is a very poorly secured application. Semicolon-cat. Wait, why can't I just... Wait, if this works, I have questions. I have many questions if this actually succeeds. What the fuck? Why can www.data see what's in TryHackMe's folder? What the fuck is going on this web server? Why do they have each other's permissions? That makes no sense. Okay, THM brace command injection complete, all caps _ separator is the command here. Why is this? Why can I do this? Like, who made this server and how drunk were they? And can I have the alcohol they were using? There you go. Conclusion. Whoop, whoop, well done for making it to the end of this room. To recap, we've learned about the following. I'm not reading the conclusion. Sorry, guys. Terminate the vulnerable machine. I don't want to. Complete. Hey, congratulations and celebrations. You'll tell everyone that you got hacked by me. That was very silly. I'll never do that again. Yes, I will. Okay, next one is SQL injection. I hope that one's a little more challenging. Okay, so for people who are like me, doing a a university thing again, and you have to do your gen eds, pay attention, because this will be a database primer. We'll do some SQL, some SQL, whatever you want to pronounce it as, and yeah, there'll be some interesting tricks in here, so yeah, keep that in mind. This is my time to say, if you want to support the channel, you can follow. People have already done that. You can subscribe if that's what you're, need in your life, an extra subscription to pay attention to. You can also toss me a coffee. You can just hit the !coffee command and you'll get a nice little link to do that with. Definitely not something you have to do, but hey, we're in between rooms. I have to fill the space up somehow, so I might as well do this. YouTube subscribes help me a lot too. That makes me, more interesting to the algorithm, so that makes my stuff come up more often, which means more people see my stuff, which means I reach a bigger audience, which means, I can help more people. So definitely do that as well if you can, and if you, have to subscribe, it's handy. If you don't want to do all that, cool with me too. You're here, that's important, and I'm glad I'm talking to you. Back to the stupid video. This wasn't even a sponsored ad, I just made this up as I went along. All right, let's go. This is the SQL injection room. We're in the next room here. The subtitle says, learn how to detect and exploit SQL injection vulnerabilities. Wonder if it's by the same dude who we had before. This is a medium room and it's going to take us 30 minutes. I wonder what that is. I don't think they put that in. I think it's like the amount of like practicals in a room indicate how long it's going to be. Like every practical adds like plus 10 minutes or plus 15 minutes. Because I've seen a couple of rooms where I was like, how is this an hour? So I'm wondering how that works, like internally. If it's like if it's just a deterministic figure, or just people literally are just typing this in. Interesting. Anyway. Oh lol. So amusingly, for some reason, I'm not sure why this is, but all the tasks are expanded for me by default. I don't think they are visually, so I'll just expand them as we go, if I don't forget. Usually I don't, but yeah, there you go. Okay, so room progress 0, task 1, brief. SQL, structured query language injection, mostly referred to as SQLI. I don't know, SQLI was always like the PHP libraries. SQL improved. I have never actually referred to it as SQLI, but hey, that could just be me. Is an attack on the web application database server that causes malicious queries to be executed. When a web application communicates with a database using input from a user that hasn't been properly validated, there runs the potential for an attacker being able to steal, delete, or alter private and customer data, and also attack the web application authentication methods to private or customer areas. This is why SQLi, I'll just call it that because they are, is one of the oldest web application vulnerabilities, and it can also be the most damaging. Yeah, like right next to ransomware and AI, this is like one thing you don't want to mess with. In this room, we'll learn what databases are, what SQL is, with some basic SQL commands, how to detect SQL vulnerabilities, how to exploit SQLi vulnerabilities, and as a developer, how you can protect yourself against SQL injection. Answer the questions below. What does SQL stand for? Structured, ready to rumble. No, query, language. Language. It's hard word to type. Whoop, your answer is correct. Task 2, what's a database? Database. If you're not used to working with databases or exploiting them, there's probably some new terminology to get used to. So let's start with some basics on how databases are structured and how they work. What is a database? Database is a way of electronically storing collections of data in an organized manner. Organized with an S. We have another Brit. Hello, sir. A database is controlled by a DBMS, which is a acronym. That's not an acronym. DBMS would be an acronym. This is an abbreviation. Get your terms right, English teacher. Bah, 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 bah. Anyway, there's an acronym for Database Management System. DBMSs, I think you need an apostrophe. I'll stop now. Fall into two camps, relational and non-relational. The focus on this room will be on relational databases. Some common ones you'll come across are MySQL, Microsoft SQL Server, Access. Wait, Access is MySQL. No, it isn't, right? Isn't Access MySQL Server as well? Like somewhere? I don't know. PostgreSQL and SQLite. I'll explain the difference between relational and non-relational databases at the end of this task, but first it's important to learn a few terms. Within HAM, you can have multiple databases, each containing its own... Yeah, I know that actually. Yeah, I know that. Hobgoblin says that TryHackMe is a British website. Yeah. I do think they have users all over the world contributing rooms, so like I'm really just giving them a bit of a rib because I know like they're British. I actually spoke to two folks who work there to essentially air my grievances about the accessibility of things, and that was a month or two back, and nothing has changed. So there's that. But yeah, I know they're British. Like Ben Spring is the owner. Yeah, I should go talk to him. Maybe he'll fix it. Anyway. With a DBMS, you have multiple databases, each containing its own set of related data. For example, you may have a database called... Can I just skip through this a little bit? Yeah, so databases... Let me just do my own explanation. It'll be faster. Databases are collections of tables. Tables are essentially what the name suggests. Basically, a table is a set of records. Records is a row of a table. And then a field is like a cell in a table. So you can have, say, a users table with, every user has a record, so a row in the table, and then every field in the row could be something like its name, its first name, last name, date of birth, password, usually hashed. And then there's something called primary and foreign keys, which basically say this row in table A should link to this thing in table B. So to give an example, you could have, say, a list of users in a web store, like a web shop, and then you could say that users have, for example, orders, and then an order could be indicated that every order in this table, like every order ever made on this website, has a field user ID, which then points to the user that made that order, and that way you can query them together and get like all the users that made all the orders made by a particular user, or like all the users that made a particular order, which would usually only be one, but hey, maybe you have some kind of race condition where two made the exact same order. That would be odd, but who knows. So that. I'm kind of amused because I have not actually seen anyone use that command before, and I was actually kind of curious what I put in there, but yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so I'm a developer. That's why I know what databases are. And I'm also a web accessibility auditor. I'm going to be doing a cybersecurity degree at SNHU, the South New Hampshire University. And TryHackMe is really just a hobby at this point. Like, I've sort of ripped on them enough. I'm going to try HTTPA next week. But anyway, that's really all you need to know about what a database is. Basically, what we're going to be doing is there's ways to manipulate this data. You can add new records to a table. You can update what's already in a record in a table. And if you do that cleverly, you can also like retrieve information you're not meant to have or delete stuff altogether. And that's really what we're going to be covering. So let me see what my explanation just skipped us in time. Let me just read this speech. Oh, look, they used the shop example too. Nice. Okay, amusingly, there's a diagram here of the database table interactions. That, of course, is no alt text whatsoever, and therefore is not readable to us. I like that it says a table is made of columns and rows. A useful way to imagine a table is like a grid with the columns going across the top, left and right, containing the... going across the top from left to right, containing the name of the cell, and the rows going from top to bottom, with each one having the actual data. Is that me, or is that like every table ever? Like, if you what is a table but not a grid of columns and rows? Like, isn't that the whole point of a table? Am I missing some really interesting visual, not quite table? That's a table. No, and if they were to try that, like Dante is asking if I'm worried people DDoSing my stream with the DDoS commands. I can put a bunch of cold. I can put a. It is back. Yeah, it's backward, isn't it? Yeah. I can actually just put cooldowns on those commands, so if it does get too bad, it's pretty easy to fix. And worst case, I have a slider that literally just turns those notifications. Like, I'm getting a little speech event every time someone sends a chat message. That's how I can respond to you guys without leaving the window. And if I really get super annoyed by that, I can just literally slide a slider down on my thing here and just turn that all off. Are you sure? Have you checked the button that says you're human? Anyway. Each column better refuse as a field. No, a column is not a field. A column is a row of fields going downwards. A cell is a field. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's one thing I forgot to say. So cell fields have a type. So you don't just stick everything anywhere. You have to indicate, like, this is a username. It holds this many characters, and it's this type. Like, it's a string or a number. Or JSON, that's a thing you can do in Postgres now, or some other thing. If you stick the wrong thing in, it's going to give you an error. Yep. I'm glad. Like Dante says, they're glad I figured it out and that I really enjoy the streams. That's nice. Some database can contain much more complex data, such as geospatial, which contains location information. Setting the data type also ensures that incorrect information isn't stored, such as the string hello world being stored in a column meant for dates. Yeah, for dates you stick, like, you know, your date stories in. Like, when you have a really bad date, you stick that in the dates column. I need a bit of noise on that. I need to figure it out for next stream. There, did it myself. If this happens, the database server will usually produce an error message. A column containing an integer can also have an auto increment feature enabled. This gives a row a data of unique number that grows. I do need a rim shot sound. Grows increments the subsequent doing so creates. Let's call it key field. Yeah, I didn't mention it, but key fields, because what they do, you obviously need to make sure those are unique. So they can either be like a number, an integer, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or they can be a UUID, which is like a longer string of numbers and dashes. So you can't just guess UUID. You can't just guess keys. And I think you can even use a string. You can even say like this is a name. You can use this column as a key. Can you use string columns as a key, as a primary key? I know you can put them in composite ones, but can you use them on their own? I actually don't know for sure. Which can be used to find that exact row in SQL queries. Yep. Blah blah blah. Rows. Rows or records contain individual lines of data. No, a row contains one line of data that goes across several fields. And there's a puppy outside going... Anyway. Relational vs. non-relational database. Yeah, let me just explain that too. A relational database, like I said, you have these tables that are linked up with key fields, like the primary key, foreign key, and they essentially say row A is connected to row B through so-and-so field. In a non-relational database, you don't need that relation to be there. You can essentially just have documents, which are usually JSON objects or something similar. And they don't have to be related. You can just sort of do filters on them and still have them. They usually do have some kind of ID, but they don't need to be linked up so rigidly. And sometimes that's better for certain things. I honestly do not use them very often. I've heard of people using them, and they were a big thing in like late 2015, 2016, 17-ish. But I think a lot of people have sort of gone back on them. Like, I don't see many MongoDB databases these days. I might just not be looking in the right places. I haven't developed that much lately. But yeah, basically that's what the difference is. Yeah, I appreciate that they at least used the term NoSQL once. I was wondering where that was. MongoDB, Cassandra, and Elasticsearch. I think Elasticsearch is still being used quite a bit, just for its, it's apparently really fast at finding stuff. I love how it's like really like long about what a record is, what a row is, what a table is, and then this is the difference. I don't know what a MongoDB is. Leave me alone. Answer the question. What is the acronym? The software that contains it. Acronym is still not the right term here. You need an abbreviation. If it was DAPMAS, it would be an acronym. Yeah, I got it right. What is the name of the grid-like structure? Hey, no, follower! Look at that. Who are you? Shredark. Are you Horokusaki in disguise? Are you from the Ninja Turtles? Because if you are, then please don't hit me with your Tengu sword. Anyway, hi, welcome in. I appreciate you being here. I am a blind streamer that doesn't see and cannot use a screen, therefore screen beater. Welcome in. I appreciate the follow. Hope your day's good. Let's continue. Well, that's rude. Dante's trying to hack me. There you go. But yeah, something like that. Select password from YouTube_users where username equals blind decoding. Yeah, that would be, if YouTube was made by a 4-year-old, that would be the way to get my password. But yeah, good attempt. Appreciate that. It does say TryHackMe, so I guess people should try it. Please don't. I don't need to be fending off attacks when I'm reading this stuff to you guys. Anyway, what is the name of the grid-like structure which holds the data? Chair. No? What was that other thing that you eat from? Table. There you go. Computin. Rootin Computin. Anyway, what is SQL? Oh, some language. Structured query language is a feature-rich language used for querying databases. It's also used to make things way more complicated than they need to be sometimes. These SQL queries are better referred to as statements. No, that's not true. I think a statement, I don't think necessarily a query has to be one statement. I'm pretty sure you can put more statements. No, actually, no, that's not true. I'm pretty sure a query is always a statement because a statement just ends with a semicolon. Oop, I'm getting a knock. What's up? Yes? Huh. I thought someone knocked on my door. That was a little scary. Did somebody knock on my door? Other person in his house, did you knock on my door? Let's see. Ghost knock, yeah, maybe. This. Okay. No idea. The simplest of the commands, which we'll cover in this task, is use to retrieve, select, update, insert, and delete data. Wait. The simplest of the commands. Oh, I thought it was like one. I thought I had another. English. Although somewhat similar, some database servers have their own syntax and slight changes to how things work. All of these examples are based on the MySQL database. After learning the lessons, you'll easily be able to search for alternative syntax online for the different servers. Yeah, so remember what I said about things sometimes being more complicated than they need to be? This. Why hasn't that been fixed? Like, why isn't there like a translation layer? SQL's like, what, 40 years old now? Come on. This is why I always use an ORM. I don't have to deal with this bullshit. Anyway, it's worth noting that SQL syntax is not case sensitive. No, but for some reason, SQL commands are always in all caps to distinguish them from regular bits of table of like quote strings or things like that. So they're not case sensitive, but people like to make the keywords all uppercase. So it's one of those weird, they're not, but if you don't use proper casing, you will be grumbled at in pull request comments and things like that. So it's one of those, yeah, but also actually kind of they are, but not really in the way you think. Selects. So the first query type we'll learn is a select query. Uses, okay, so there's select, which lets you, retrieve rows. We saw an attempt by Dante just now. There is update, which changes a row. Wait. I forget. What's the difference between alter and update? Is there a difference? You have to go read this. And then there's drop, which is delete. I think those are the main ones. Yeah, select is to retrieve something. Select star from user. Star is a wildcard character, so you can just say star is like all a shorthand for all, basically. And you can put things behind or before it to do like starting with X or ending with X. Really simple. And it shows you a little table here that like shows the things as like an ID, username, and a password. And there's password 123. There's password with a 4 for the A, and then there's secret 123. It's pretty simple, silly data. Yeah. So select is the word that that starts the thing. Star is the wildcard from, indicates what table you want. In this case, there's only one thing. Fuck, because I do not like joins in SQL. And then the table name, and then a semicolon to end the thing. You can also do go, which is also like I think that's an allowed syntax and like a statement ender. That's what we learned in school. I no longer go to that school. School was not very good. So yeah, instead of star, star gives you all columns. Star says all columns in the database. You can also give a comma delimited list of columns in the table you want. So in this case, it uses username and password. So you will not see the ID column in this case. So for example, when you go to your web application of choice, and you say have a list of, let's say YouTube, a list of YouTube videos, there'll be a database somewhere that says, okay, video name, video duration, video views, what else? Thumbnail image, and when you do like a, show all videos, it says like show, get all these columns from a table and stick them in a web application and then render them to the user. And yeah, if you do a filter, say I only want to see videos from the last few weeks, it'll add a clause that says where date is greater than 3 weeks ago. And then if you do another filter, it'll be an and then another one of those things where it says where video name is like the cat video or whatever. And then it just sort of shows you that stuff. So that's really what SQL does. It's there a lot of the time when you don't realize. And because, it's everywhere, you can essentially, what SQL injection really is you can stick specially crafted bits of random incantation into these safe search field or a username field or a contact field, and then see if you can bamboozle the database into just doing something else apart from just constructing that table for you. And that's what we're going to show off. So there you go. So right now we see the limits clause you can add to the end of this to show like how many records you want. They show the password with 1, and then there is the where clause, which, like I said, just now specifies what kind of cells you want to see. Also, this person uses utilize instead of use, which means I hate them forever. Let's see. Yeah. So if you want an exact match. If you want an exact non-match, you can do not equals, like you can in programming language. So exclamation point equals is a not equals. And if you want an actual similar, I think it's just equals. Yeah, it's just a regular equal. So no double equals like in programming, or just an actual equals sign, more like math. Okay. Yep. Blah blah blah. Anything else I need to explain? No, this all says what I already said, basically. The like clause, yeah, it's what I said before. Basically, you can use that to give a partial thing it should match to. It starts, contains, or ends with the characters that you specify with characters in the wildcards like an asterisk. And a percent sign here. What does the percent sign mean again? Oh, percentage is always, okay, percentage is always the wildcard. So a percent means anything starting with a. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Union. The union statement combines the results of 2 or more select statements to retrieve data from either single or multiple tables. The rules to this query are that a union statement must retrieve the same number of columns in each select statements. The columns must have a similar data type, and the column order has to be the same. This might sound like not very clear, so let's use the following analogy. Say a company wants to create a list of addresses with all customers and suppliers to post a new catalog. We have one table called customers with the following contents. So we got an ID, a name, an address, a city, a postal code. And another called suppliers with the following contents. We got a company, address, city, postal code. So what they're basically going for, I've honestly never seen this in the wild, but what they're really going for here is, provided we have this exact same order of columns with the exact same amount of columns that contain the exact same type, but not necessarily names of data, in 2 different tables, you can combine them together like that. I think a lot of people will just use an inner join at this point, but this exists. Now you know. All right. Using the following SQL statement, we can gather the results of the 2 tables and put them into... So it's select name, address from customer, union, select company address, and from suppliers. So by your own example, you have now essentially said that statements are not in fact the same as queries. Good job! Anyway, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And now we see all the things. Very cute. Like, again, I'm not a database jockey, so this may very well be a thing that people who actually work in this field see all the time, but I've never actually seen this in the wild. Like, maybe it's an optimization that some database do behind the scenes when you have to use like an ORM like Rails's, what's it called? Active Record or Laravel's Eloquent. But I've never actually seen this in a query before. Maybe I'm just not in the right places. There's insert. Insert basically just does what it says. You essentially give it the table to insert into, and what columns you want to insert into, and then you give it the values to insert in those columns. Insert into users, in parentheses the names, and then values, and then in parentheses the values. It's not hard. Oh, and I remember what the difference between alter and update is. Update actually changes a row. Alter is when you change the actual table structure. That's what it was. Which means I don't think they actually use alter in this. We'll see. So now to explain update, which is, yeah. The update statement tells database we wish to update one or more rows of data within a table. You specify the table you wish to update using update table name set, and then select the field or fields you wish to update as a comma-separated list, such as username equals root, password equals password. Then finally, similar to the select statement, you can do exactly which rows to update using the where clause, where username equals admin. Okay. Update user set, username equals root, password equals 123, where username equals admin. So essentially that indicates... It's very odd to me that that set is there. I'm sure that that's important, and it's just one of those odd quirks of I think you could have done this in a more consistent way, but they haven't. That's fair. Let's see. Can we actually start doing shit now? Delete, yeah, delete deletes things. Drop also works, but I think drop only works for tables in themselves. I don't think you can drop a row. Yeah, so delete, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. What SQL statement is used to retrieve data? Select. What SQL clause can be used to retrieve data from multiple tables? Union. What SQL statement is used to add data? Insert. Task 4. What is SQL injection? The point wherein a web application using SQL can turn into SQL injection is when user provided input data gets included in the SQL query. What does it look like? Take the following scenario where you come across an online blog and each blog entry has a unique ID number. The blog entries may be either set to public or private, depending on whether they're ready for public release. The URL for each blog entry may look something like this: tld/blog ? ID equals number. In the URL above, you can see that the blog entry selected comes from the ID parameter in the URL. In the query string, I'm saying URL because that's what people know. The web application needs to retrieve the article from the database and may use an SQL statement that looks something like this. Select star from blog where ID equals 1 and private equals 0, limit 1. From what you've learned in the previous task, you should be able to... Oh no. Hang on, my braille glitched. I can't see anything. Pretty sure that little Mac noise came into the stream. Oh well. But yeah, essentially we're... yeah, there we go. I should be able to see stuff now. Oh, did NVIDIA give up? NVIDIA gave up. That's unkind. That's this Bluetooth device, that's my braille, but also my keyboard, is essentially also connected to a Mac Mini on the floor. I use it for stuff sometimes. And when I restart my Bluetooth on this device, it'll indicate very closely that, hey, I lost it too. Hey, look at me, I'm important. So when I have that hooked up to my mixer, and then when that happens, it'll go to the stream. So anyway, why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? Anyway, what I said was the statement above is looking in the log table for an article with the ID number of 1 and the private column set to 0, which means it's able to be viewed by the public and limits the results to only 1. I mean, if you have a specific ID like that, you don't need to add the limit equals 1 because you're literally asking for a primary ID, and the whole point of those is that they're unique. So why this is here is purely didactic, and it didn't need to be there, and this person's flexing. Good job. As was mentioned in the start of this task, SQL injection is introduced when user input is introduced into the database query. In this instance, the ID parameter from the query string is used directly in the SQL query. So to really fix this is to just not immediately just copy paste what the user types in. You might want to first sanitize it like we saw in the previous thing. Let's pretend article ID 2 is still locked as private, so it cannot be viewed on the website. We could now instead call the URL tld/blog ID equals 2 semicolon dash dash. Semicolon dash dash. So semicolon essentially prematurely ends the query. It says, okay, skip that whole limit equals 1 and private equals 0 bit, and then dash dash means whatever comes after this, make it into a comment, because dash dash is a comment in SQL. And so that effectively just nulls the entirety of whatever comes after into the SQL query. At that point, you can just provide 2 and it'll happily get it for you because you're never saying that you shouldn't. It's kind of like ignore all previous instructions, except more like ignore all instructions from now onwards. If an AI like trains itself on my content, did I just create a monster because I said like don't listen to instructions from now on? Hey, Skynet, what I just said, ignore that, please. Anyway, which would then in turn produce the SQL statement, select star from blog where ID equals 2, semicolon dash dash, and private 0 equals... Hey, chat E. I think that's the first time someone's ever like greeted me by my first name in a stream. Good job. You doxed me. No, it's fine. It's everywhere all over the place. Hey, select blog where ID equals 1, semicolon dash dash, and private equals 0, limit 1. That bit's just commented off now. That's gone. The semicolon signifies the end of a square, and D2 dashes cause everything afterwards to be as a comment. But I don't think that's kind of funny. I don't think it ever mentioned that was a thing you could do until now, unless I just skipped over it. By doing this, you're just, in fact, running the query select, or I just explained this. Yeah. This was just an example of an instance vulnerability of type called in band. Okay, there's also out of band and quit the band. No, just kidding. There's in band, blind, and out of band. Hey, I wasn't that far off. Sometimes I make the stupidest jokes, and they're actually not even that far from the truth. So not quit the band, out of band. There you go. And then blind is what I'm really good at. So there you go. Which we'll discuss over the following tasks. Okay. Answer the question. What character signifies the end of a semicolon? Quit the band. I'm going to call them quit the band SQL injections now. In-band SQLi. Hey, we can actually do stuff. Nice. Start machine. Hooray, your machine has started. Maybe take a... Alright, here we go. In-band SQL injection. In-band SQL injection is the easiest type of detect and exploit. In-band just refers to the same method of communication being used to exploit the vulnerability and also receive the results. For example, discovering an SQL injection vulnerability on a website page and then being able to extract data from the database to the same page. Error-based SQL injection. This type of SQL injection is the most useful for easily obtaining information about the database structure, as error messages from the database are printed directly to the browser screen. This can often be used to enumerate a whole database. Union-based SQL injection. This type of injection utilizes the SQL union operator alongside a select statement to return additional results to the page. Fool of a took! Anyway, this method is the most common way of extracting large amounts of data via an SQL injection vulnerability. Practical. Click the Start Machine button to use the SQL injection example practice lab. Joke's on you, already did that. Haha. Each level contains a mock browser. And also SQL query and error boxes to assist in getting your queries. Oh, it's okay. Level 1 of the practice lab contains a mock browser and website featuring a blog with different articles, which can be accessed by changing the ID number in the query string. The key to discovering the error-based is to break the code's SQL query by trying certain characters until an error message is produced. These are most commonly single apostrophes or a quotation mark. Try typing an apostrophe after the ID in one and press enter, and you'll see this returned an SQL error, informing you of an error in your SQL syntax. The fact that you've received this error message confirms the existence of SQL injection vulnerability. We can now exploit this vulnerability and use the error messages to learn more about the database structure. The first thing we need to do is return data to the browser without displaying an error message. Firstly, we'll try the union operator so we can receive an extra result if we choose it. Try setting the mock browser's ID parameter to 1 union select quote. Select 1, sorry. This statement should produce an error message informing that the union select statement has a different number of columns than the original select query. So let's try again, but add another column. 1 union select 1, comma 2. Same error again, add another number. 1, 2, 3. Success, the error message is gone and the article is being displayed, but now we want to display our data instead of an article. The article is displayed because it takes the first returned result somewhere in the website's code and shows that. To get around this, we need to first query to produce no results. This can simply be done by changing the article ID from 1 to 0. 0 union select equals 1, 2, 3. Not even an equals, just 0 union select 1, 2, 3 with commas. You'll now see the article is just made up of the result of the union select, returning the column values 1, 2, and 3. We can start using these returned values to retrieve more useful information. Let's go do this first, because we haven't done this at all. Here's level 1. So error-based SQLi. Yeah, so let's go do that bit. So what we do is 0 union select 1, comma 2, comma 3. Go. What? Okay. So yeah, we got some output there. We got 2 article ID 1 and 3 SQL query. And then we see the SQL query. Interesting. So what is the user Martin's password is what we need to figure out to get to the next level. Now we haven't covered how to get around this problem yet, so let's just find out if we can. First, we'll get the database name that we have access to. So we do use select 1 to database. Database. Let's see what that gives us. SQLi_1 is the database name. Okay, very cool. You'll now see order number 3 was previously displayed. It now shows the name of the database, which is SQLLI_1. Our next query will gather a list of tables that are in the database. Union select 1, 2, group underscore concat, left bracket, table name, right bracket, from information underscore schema dot tables, where tables schema equals. Okay, so I have a bit of a problem with what we're seeing here. Basically, this went from ridiculously simple to stupid difficult in like 1 second. You do not need to know all this to do SQL injection. Like, we could have probably just done the exact same thing. Let's try it. Let's see if they actually guarded against that. I'm actually kind of curious. So what instead of this? Instead of all this, what if we just do this? What if I just add a comment, like a semicolon after 0, and then we do select star from users, semicolon dash dash. Has that been barred? Can I do that? No results found. Okay, so it does look that that was good. Like, I don't know, why don't they just show that off first? That'd be a lot easier for people who have never done this before. Like, I'm now seeing a group concat function I've never seen before. I'm now seeing SQL functions which were never covered. Like, I know what they do, but this is not how I would have done this room. But okay, whatever. Where table schema equals SQL1. I have to explain what table schema is, what the group concat function does. Yeah, there's a couple of things to learn in this new query. You didn't have to teach us, but I guess I'm happy it's there. It's just kind of an interesting way to do it. The method group underscore concat, what's the method? Gets the specified column, in our case table name, from multiple returned rows and puts it into one string separated by commas. The next thing is the information schema database. Every user of the database has access to this, and it contains information about all the databases and tells user acceptance. In this query, we're interested in listing all the tables in the SQLI underscore 1 database, which is article and staff underscore users. Okay. So wait. No? Okay, well, it's worth a try. Staff users. I just tried that same trick. I just did. Again, didn't work. That's fine. As the first level aims to discover Martin's password, the staff users table is what interests us. We can use the information schema database again to find the structure of this table using the below query. Union selects 1, 2, group underscore concat, left paren, column name right paren, from information underscore schema dot columns, where table underscore name equals staff users. And I'm remembering why I don't like SQL. This is similar to the previous SQL query. However, the information we want to retrieve has changed from table name to column name. The table we're querying in the information schema database has changed from tables to columns. Then we're searching for any rows where the table name column has the value of staff users. The query results provide 3 columns for the staff users table: ID, password, and username. We can use the username and password columns for our following query to retrieve the user's password. Union select 1, 2, group concat, username, colon, password, separator, quote, less br, quote, right paren, from staff underscore users. I'm not even going to try to type all that. We're just going to copy paste. We've also added colon to separate the username from each other. Instead of being separated by a comma, we've chosen the HTML BR tag, which forces each result to be on a separate line to make for easier reading. Okay, well, let's type that into this little field here and get the level. Basically, I did it wrong. What the fuck? Let's see. Oh, oops. What's the original thing? There. Okay, yeah, this is my bad. I need to put it here like that. Now it'll work. Admin password. Martin's password is password with $signs for the F. So that is done. We can now type that into the level field here. $WORD. And that should let us go to the next thing. Boom. Yay, now it says level 2. Level 2 blind SQLI. I should be good at this. Oh, there's also a flag that says SQL injection 3. Is that a 3 or J? 3840 3840. Now I'm going to copy paste that flag because I'm relatively sure we're going to need it in a minute. So let's just go straight up back here where we were. What is the flag after completing level 1? Here it is. THM left brace SQL underscore injection underscore 3840. Whoop whoop, your answer is correct. Blind SQLI, authentication bypass. Here we go. Unlike in-band SQL injection, where we can see the results of our attack directly on the screen, blind SQLI is where we get little to no feedback to confirm whether our injection queries were in fact successful or not. This is because the error messages have been disabled, but the injection still works regardless. It might surprise you that all we need is that little bit of feedback to successfully enumerate a whole database. Authentication bypass. One of the most straightforward blind SQL injection techniques is when bypassing authentication methods such as login forms. In this instance, we aren't that interested in retrieving data from the database. We just want to get past the login. Login forms that are connected to a database of users are often developed in such a way that the web application isn't interested in the content of the username and password, but more in whether the two make a matching pair in the user's table. In basic terms, the web application is asking the database, do you have a user with the username Bob and the password Bob123? The database replies with either yes or no, true/false, and depending on that answer, dictates whether the web application lets you proceed or not. Taking the above information into account, it's unnecessary to enumerate a valid username password pair. We just need to create a database query that replies with the yes or true. Practical. Level 2 of the SQL injection in the examples shows this exact example. We can see in the box labeled SQL query that the query to the database is the following. Select star from users, where username equals %username% and password equals password percent limit 1. Nota bene, it's NB with a dot in the middle, so nota bene, the username and password values are taken from the login form fields. The initial values in the SQL query box will be blank as these fields are currently empty. To make this into a query that always returns as true, we can enter the following into the password field. Quote, tick rather, or 1 equals 1, semicolon, dash dash. I will show that off. We can easily do that. Username is ICNO. Password equals tick, semicolon, 1 equals 1, semicolon, dash dash. Oh, what the fuck's going on? Oh, right, bullet points. I forgot about that. Let's do it again. Tick, semicolon, dash. No, not even dash. Let's read this. Like the equal sign looks like a bullet character in Braille, and I keep thinking I'm just typing a bunch of equal signs, but I am not. Tick, dash, tick, semicolon 1 equals 1 semicolon dash dash. Login. No result found. No, well, that makes sense. Let's see if it went right. I see null and password equals. Okay, that's not the same card as why. Okay, so do it again. I used a different quote and that made it fall over. So do it again. That one, 1 equals 1, that one, go. Log in. So now it looks righter. So it still says no result found. Let's see if we did do it right. 1 equals 1. Oh, I forgot the or. I'm dumb. Log in. There we go. So now it says login form with the heading 4 for some reason. That's a bad heading level for this thing. You bypassed logging. You can now move to the next level. Level 3. Whoosh. This feels very banded so far. Do we have a flag again? Yeah, we do. SQL 9581. Same format. So yeah, the joke here is, let me explain what we just did. So an OR, logical OR, in a lot of programming languages essentially indicates return true if one thing is true or another thing is true. So our password obviously isn't empty. It's an empty string, which is what we told it was. But it says or 1 equals 1, and 1 equals 1 is always 1 is always 1. 1 is never not 1. So that will always return true. So if one of these things is true, in which case, in this case 1 equals 1 is true, that means true gets returned. And if that form is only looking for a return value of true, which I don't think any form is dumb enough to do that, but if a form is only looking for that, then this will happily work, and that's what we just saw. So let me paste the flag in here. It's like THM, left brace, SQL underscore injection underscore 9581 brace. Last one, blind SQL. Oh no, there's more. Now we got blind SQL Boolean based. I thought that's what you just did. Okay. Boolean based SQL injection refers to the response we receive from our injection attempts, which could be a true, false, yes, no, on, off, 1 or 0, or any response that can only have 2 outcomes. That outcome confirms that our SQL injection payload was either successful or not. Excuse me. On the first inspection, you may feel like this limited response can't provide much information. Still, with just these 2 responses, it is possible to enumerate a whole database structure and contents. Practical. On level 3 of the SQL injection example machine, you're presented with a mock browser with the following URL. website.thm/check-user !username equals admin. The browser body contains taken : true. This API endpoint replicates a common feature found on many sign-up forms, which checks whether a username has already been registered to prompt the user to choose a different username. Because the taken value is set to true, we can assume the username admin is already registered. We can confirm this by changing the username in the mock browser's address bar from admin to admin123, and upon pressing enter, you'll see the value taken has now switched to false. The SQL query that is processed looks like the following. Select star from users, where username equals %username %limit 1. The only input we have control over is the username in the query string, and we'll have to use this to perform our SQL injection. Keeping the username as admin123, we can start appending to that to try and make the database confirm true things, changing the state of the taken field from false to true. Like in previous levels, our first task is to establish the number of columns in the user table, which we can achieve by using the union statement. Change the username value to the following: admin123, comma, union, select 1. Incorrect. You can confirm that the answer is 3 columns by setting OK. Not going to do that because we've seen that how that works already. So yeah, admin123 union. I'm just going to copy this to my clipboard because we may need it later. Now the number of columns has been established. We can work on the enumeration of the database. Our first task is to discover the database name. We can use this by using this built-in database method, and then using the like operator to try and find results that will return a true status. Try the below username value and see what happens. Okay, I'll do that first, just so we have something fun. Okay, we're gonna take this out and paste this in. Oh. Looks like that gave us true back, so that's something. Let me just scroll back down here. We get a true percent, and like the like operator, we just have the value of %, which will match anything that it's a wildcard value. If we change the wildcard operator to %, you'll see the response goes back to false, which confirms that the database name does not begin with the letter A. We can cycle through all the letters, numbers, and characters such as dash and underscore until we discover a match. If you send it below as a username value, you'll receive a true response that confirms the database name begins with the letter S. We're not going to do that, don't worry. Now you move on to the next character of the database name until you find another true response. For example, SA, SB, SC, etc. Keep on with this process until you discover all the characters of the database name, which is SQLI_3. I hope there is like a tool that does that, because that sounds extremely tedious. We established the database name, which we can now use to enumerate table names using the similar method by utilizing the information schema database. Try setting the username to the following value. Given it's probably going to give me the answer anyway, I'm just going to keep reading. This query looks for the results in these information schema database and tables. Say, oh, you've seen this before. And the table name begins with the letter A as the above query. So yeah, it shows us essentially once you have this true false thing figured out, you can now start by essentially Ouija boarding it. You can essentially figure out like what characters is in the database name, what characters are in the table names, what characters are in the usernames, and then at some point, yes, you can enumerate a database. It's a proof of concept basically. I just keep reading. Yep. So there's an ID, a username, and a password. Honestly, if I was going to mess with this database, I would not just go through every single character. I would literally just do username and password, because I would be pretty sure that would work. Here's another payload. Select. Essentially select 1, 2, 3 from users where username like a %. And there is no quote at the end of the % sign. That's important because otherwise you'll prematurely end your thing. So you just leave that off. Once you cycle through all the character, you'll confirm the existence of the username admin. Now you've got the username, you can concentrate on discovering the password. The payload below shows you how to find the password. Admin123, username 123 from users where username equals admin and password like, and then you start the whole thing all over again with A, B, C, D. And you'll find that the password is 3845. You can now use the username that you've enumerated through the blind SQL injection vulnerabilities on the login form to access the next level. Let me just go do that. Username, admin, password 3845. We have a time-based blind SQLi next. I think after this room I'm going to call it, guys. I'm getting a little tired. But let's finish this room at least. Do HTBA next week. I want to cover Hack the Box at least once. And then the week after, if I'm streaming then, because I will be in a different country, we might do the thingy, the proxy. If not, we'll do that after I get back. We'll see. Anyway, THM, yep, here's another flag, 1093 this time for the dynamic variable bit. So we finish this one, we'll put this in, boop. All right, correct answer, very nice. And now we get blind SQL time-based. A time-based blind SQL injection is very similar to the above Boolean-based one in that the same requests are sent, but there is no visual indicator of your queries being wrong or right this time. Instead, your indicator of a correct query is based on the time the query takes to complete. That sounds extremely wishy-washy. What if your bandwidth is just fluctuating? This time delay is introduced using built-in methods such as, oh, like that, okay. Using sleep alongside the union statement. Sleep method will only ever get executed upon successful union select statement. That's fair. I hadn't thought of that. So for example, you would do admin user select sleep 5 and then yeah. If there was no pause in the response time, we know that the query was unsuccessful. So like on previous tasks, we'll add another column, admin, using whole thing. Oh God, they're having us do the whole thing this time. Union select sleep 5 where database like you. Oh God. Okay, well, here we go. All right. Nope. What does sleep take? 5 seconds or 5 milliseconds? Let's try like 30. Just want to make sure I'm not doing this wrong entirely. There we go. Okay, no. Okay, let's just try all the characters in the database. Not A. I'm going to do this for like one letter, and honestly, I might look at a README after that, because this will take forever otherwise. See. D. E. Oh, F. Doesn't help that I can't see the immediate result. G. Yeah, I'm gonna look at a fucking guy. Sorry. So the concept here is clear. Basically, you have to look at how long a request takes, and then painstakingly go through every character in every like thing, like database, tables, columns, and things until you find all the data. That is certainly a way to do it. It's gonna take forever if you do that on stream, so I'm gonna quickly look at what they want here, just so we can move on. What's this called? SQL injection. Yeah. So yeah, call it a cop-out. Like, I know what I'm meant to be doing, I just really don't feel like doing this whole entire thing. Let's see. Time-based. Huh? Okay, so I got the thing. So what they're looking for is the username admin and the password 4961. This would be a really fun thing actually to write like a script for. Like if you want to like practice your web scraping skills, what you could do is just essentially have a bot that just tries all these combinations. What did it? Training complete. THM SQL injection master. Yeah, let's just call it that. Okay, here's the flag. It's SQL, brace SQL underscore injection underscore master, right brace. Testing 9 out of band. I don't think there's much to do for this. So, out of band SQL isn't as common as it either depends on specific features being enabled on the database server or the web application's business logic, which makes some kind of external network call based on the results from an SQL query. An out-of-band attack is classified by having two different communication channels, one to launch the attack and the other to gather the results. For example, the attack channel could be a web request and the data gathering channel could be monitoring HTTP and DNS requests made to a service you control. 1. An attacker makes a request to a website vulnerable to SQL injection with an injection payload. 2. The website makes an SQL query to the database, which also passes the hacker's payload. 3. The payload contains a request which forces an HTTP request back to the hacker's machine, containing data from the database. Answer the questions below. Name a protocol beginning with D that can be used to exfiltrate data from a database. DNS. And remediation, the final task. As impactful as SQL injection vulnerabilities are, developers do have a way to protect their web applications from them by following the advice below. Prepared statements with parameterized queries. In a prepared query, the first thing a developer writes is the SQL query, and then any user inputs are added as parameters afterwards. Writing prepared statements ensures the SQL code structure doesn't change and the database can distinguish between the query and the data. As a benefit, it also makes your code look much cleaner and easier to read. Input validation. Input validation can go a long way to protecting what gets put in an SQL query. Employing an allow list can restrict input to only certain strings, or a string replacement method in the programming language can filter the characters you wish to allow or disallow. Escaping user input. Allowing user input containing characters such as quote, dollar, backslash can cause SQL queries to break, or, even worse, as we've learned, open them up for injection attacks. Escaping user input is the method of prepending a backslash to these characters, which then causes them to be parsed just as a regular string and not a special character. Answer the questions below. Name a method of protecting yourself from an SQL injection exploit. It wants 8 characters and then 10 characters. Escaping user input wouldn't fit because that's 3 words. Input validation has the first word is too short, and then the last one is prepared statements, which is exactly what they want to hear. And we finished the room. Congratulations, you've completed the room. Share this with your friends. No. Next room, Burp Suite, the basics. We are done with this section of the path, and I think that's a fantastic place to call it for today. Burp Suite, we already did part of when we covered Burp Suite. If you want to go check those rooms out, you can. That's in a playlist on the YouTube channel called Burp Suite, and the description nails it as a burpy ride, so definitely hold on to your butts. Having said that, next week, Hack the Box Academy. I'm going to make an account there, and then we're going to just do the first couple of things for the PC, what is it, the CPTF, I think it's called, or the something, some other abbreviation of like the most common certificate there. Those will be a little bit trickier than the things we've done so far. It'll require me to do a little bit more hopping around with the screen, so I may just make that a full screen thing. I'll also update my OBS so I can do the enhanced Twitch broadcasting thing that they've launched. For the moment though, I'm going to see who I can bother, because I'm a little tired and I want to go do other things, and I have to actually go do things as well. So this has been super fun. I'm super glad people watched today. I hope it was somewhat amusing, or at least educational. Thank you so much, Dante. Thank you for this. Thank you for the compliments. I appreciate that. I've apparently received a badge from TryHackMe. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate that people liked it. Seeing who is available to raid. Does anyone have someone that they'd like some attention to that I can just send them to raid-wise? Don't immediately see. Anyone? The thing we went to last time, Kimari Sky, is available. We could certainly go there again. They're doing Tuesday grooves. Kirasek, wonderful, fantastic. He should be online. He goes by Kirasek. Let's go open their page on Twitch, see if they're going. Kirasek. Yeah, it looks like they are doing web exploitation, day 80. Oh look, he literally started 10 minutes ago. Fantastic. He has one viewer. Aw. Let's give this person some love. I'm pretty sure they're a cool person. Let's go raid this person. It's gonna be fun. Kirasek it is.
Raid initiated. We
So,
will be raiding Kirasek in 90 seconds.
Hack the Box next week. I'm gonna make a bunch of noise on all their channels that's happening. I have a colleague that I'm talking to that might be able to get like a high-placed person there to join as well. So let's hope that turns out right. If it doesn't, that's a shame. But who knows, it might get to them some other avenue as well. We're going to be raiding Kirasek, which is another hacker. It looks like they're doing web exploitation right now, which is really similar to what we were doing. Tomorrow, I'll be back as Ursiax playing, hopefully, what's the thing called? Diablo 4. If not, we'll find something else to do. God of War is still waiting for us. Otherwise, yeah, I'll find something to do. There's always fun games to fuck around with. This Saturday, I will not be here because I have a birthday to go to. And then I'll be back on ANwyay on Tuesday to do the
30 seconds remaining.
Fancy thing. That is, yeah, that thing that I said. Hack the Box Academy. And anyway, I'm getting tired. I'm going to go do something else. You guys have a great day. Go get dinner if you haven't eaten yet. Go get sleep if you're in Europe. And, hack the
10
planet.
seconds remaining.
Have fun. Have a good day. And I'll see you again either tomorrow or next week. This has been fun. I hope it was for you guys. Goodbye. Meep, meep, meep. Raid out.
Raid forwarded to Kirasek.